I feel like I'm in the flow when I am in real gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Not, I should be grateful for this. No, it's, oh my glory, this is so incredible. I am so thrilled to be in this moment.
Welcome to Season 6 of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, where we speak the language of cannabis freely and uncensored while educating our audience on safe use of this live plant therapy. You should know what's in your cannabis, what's good and what's not, because cannabis does not come with an FDA stamp of approval, yet. The information you will find here comes straight from scientists and clinicians, doing the work and reporting their findings in reputable outlets. Hopefully, we can inspire you to research the facts as we know them today. Cannabis is an amazing alternative in health remedies, with the potential to alleviate typical disease problems and troubling side effects, even those caused by synthetic prescriptions. Here now is the host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast. She is a 21st century cannabis shaman, not a doctor, not a scientist. Raised by nuns and wolves in the verdant cattle pastures of the Oklahoma oil fields, here to amplify the truth of this great big story of cannabis in historical, political, scientific, and spiritual terms, so you can make educated decisions about the medicine you choose to ingest. Please welcome Honey Smith Walls.
Oh, Michelle Diston, honey, thank you so much for being here and joining us on the Cannabis Truth Podcast. Won't you introduce yourself to our audience and tell us all about yourself, please?
For sure. I'm so excited to be here. This is my first podcast appearance for my own business. I've been on some for the Effective Cannabis newsletter. My name is Michelle Diston. I'm a certified cannabis health coach and shaman, and I help people find their medicine that works for them through plant medicine. And I don't just focus on cannabis, although it is my number one focus, but I also have other teas and botanicals that I mix and balance to help people find balance in their systems, mind, body, spirit, and emotions, right? All of that is so important as we bring that into balance. And I also do online cannabis meditations, working with the spirit of cannabis.
Girl, you're just pushing all my buttons.
And I've connected through, with Pam Montgomery. I don't know if you've heard her, but she's got 2 books out. One is Plant Spirit Healing, and it's working with plant consciousness. And the other one is co-creating with nature, healing the wound of separation. And I just love her language and her books, and just
what's her last name again? Pam what?
Pam Montgomery.
I want to get those books. They sound, if you read them and like them, I want to read them. Tell me.
Yes, and so other thing that I do is I've been running women's retreats, and I'm working on building my storefront of holistic wellness, with space to be able to host stuff like that, like yoga and workshops and meditations and whatever. So that's my next little dream there as I work through those steps.
This is right up my alley too. I have found myself wanting to work more and more in the feminine. The language barrier just disappears when I'm working in the feminine. The vulnerability is there. It allows for a lot more introspection, I feel. And that opens up for more epiphanies, which is the heart of all change.
Right. And you say epiphany is, and it's magical how cannabis can get us there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Cannabis can get us there, that one step. And I see that, like, I took mindful meditation training, and it was with Sean, I can't think of his last name right now, but he was a former monk.
No.
And listening to him and how to get into a meditative state. And then I listened to one where they invited plant medicine into their meditations in that training.
Yeah.
For him as a trained monk to say, what a profound experience.
Yes.
Adding cannabis to a meditation. And I've heard that many times through other monks and famous meditators that are adding these other plant medicines to it and just extending that connection to the field.
Yes.
Right.
I didn't have very much awareness until late in life. I mean, really late in life. I'm 70 now. I'd say I was 60 or close to it before awareness actually crept into this thinker. And once it did, then I began realizing the spiritual qualities of cannabis, and I began talking about how it just lends itself to introspection. And then there you find the epiphanies. It opens. It just does.
It does. It heightens your senses, right? So now all of a sudden your world is just brighter. Music sounds better. Food tastes better. Right. The colors are just amazing.
Yes.
And just everything feels better. And for me, that was such a huge part of my healing journey. After being on antidepressants for over 20 years and just feeling so numbed out.
Oh, yeah.
No emotion in there, right? Yeah. I couldn't process any of the highs or the lows. They didn't exist, right? You just stay in that flat line of numb emotions. And, as soon as anything would come up, like that was beyond those numbing emotions, I'd feel shame. Like, how dare I get angry? How dare I want to speak up for me and put somebody else out of comfort? How dare I, right? Like all that shame and grief and was so heavy on me that I had those negative thought loops just going on and on and on, like how I'm just ruining everybody's lives. Meanwhile, everybody thinks I'm just, that I'm not that, right? They don't see that in me.
They don't see that in any of us.
But they don't see the spark either. Right? There wasn't one. There was nothing there. I didn't have goals. I didn't have dreams. I didn't have... just if somebody had an idea for do something, yeah, I'll do it. I was the ultimate yes girl because I wanted to do stuff, but I didn't want to put any thought into it. I didn't have any, you ask me, what's your favorite this? And it's like, well, I heard this song this morning. That's my favorite song. What's your favorite color? I'm wearing this color today. That's my favorite color. Or black, right?
Oh, wow.
Because I just didn't have a life of my own. I was living other people's lives. My boat was not being directed at all through me because I didn't feel that. I didn't know me. When cannabis came into my life, and dabbled here and there throughout my life, but living in a home with my husband being a vice principal, you just don't have that in your house when it's illegal, right? You gotta, be a good public figure.
That's right.
But as soon as it was legal and a little before, it was like, this is coming in and I am deep diving, and I got the magic butter machine and I was making cookies and I was testing out different things and I was trying out and I was learning everything. And I took the Cannabis Coaching Institute certified cannabis coaching training. In there it wasn't just about the cannabis, and the science was great. I loved it. And then there was opportunity to deep dive even more. Yeah. But the mindset training was what really grabbed me. And then tying cannabis to mindset changes, that's what started bringing my awareness to things. And then, of course, awareness brought me to wanting to learn about mindfulness and mindfulness training and all of that. And it was just an explosion of, I have to learn everything. I want to know everything about the universe.
Total immersion. Yes.
I want to know everything about the moon. I want to know everything about the stars, and I want to know everything about all the plants. And I was like, this kid in a candy shop. There was so much information out there, books to read, and YouTube videos to watch, and mini courses and podcasts and all of this stuff. And I felt so alive, so awake, so ready for more. But I didn't want to stop. And so from there, I was learning about the connection of cannabis, and that, like you feel it. And now what is that? And exploring it. So I got the book, Psychedelic Cannabis by Daniel McQueen. And he talks about in there, like using breath work, and this is the time when you can use high percent THC, mixing many strains together, or cultivars, mixing a bunch together. So you're getting a big, broad range of cannabinoids. And of terpenes. So you don't want to be too much in the sativas or too much in like limonene and things that might get you heightened. We don't want to be just in that space when we go in for a cannabis meditation or a psychedelic experience. We don't want to be so into our body that we're just heavy and we can't get into space. But mixing all of that and having a whole bunch of different, it just gives us like so much in our body and hits so many different receptors at the same time, right? Every terpene has its own target. Every cannabinoid has their own targets. And then when we space that out with a bunch, we're just targeting so many things in our body. So first we get like so calm and our nervous system settles down using that breath work. And then the breath, and like, so there's the calming breath work, and then you start getting into heightening breath work, right? Increasing the oxygen, increasing the blood flow, getting our body involved, getting the energy moving, right? We're going to heighten that energy feeling, heighten that energy, and then doing a couple breath holds, right? To just expand that mind, expand that awareness so that you're going to drift and allowing that to happen, right? Letting yourself let go. Sometimes people get to that point and they're like, I don't know what's beyond that, and I'm afraid, and then they bring themselves back, right? But how many times have you heard bliss is just beyond the fear, right? Joy is just past that challenge, that struggle. So in those same moments, when you just allow it and allow your body to just take over, it's not going to let you down. Your body's going to take that breath when it needs to take that breath. It's going to rest your nervous system and protect you while you're in this space so that you can explore deeply and go into those quiet voices that are only heard in that stillness, emptiness. When you get there, you're nothing. You're nowhere. And there is no time. And you can go through the multiverse. You can go through the different scenarios of your life. You can go through all your incidents in your life. And then you can find those spots where this is what's causing my shoulder pain. I'm feeling uncomfortable in my shoulders. This brought me to this part in my life. And so in that space, you can see that, where it started, where it comes from. And then you can send it love, because you're now in a space of love. And you can just fill that shadow, that darkness with love and light. And then that cannabis just helping by just igniting us, right? Like being in our body and feeling that, like it's all part of how the endocannabinoid system converses with us, right? It tells us when we're in that state of well-being. And
Master regulatory system. Yes, it tells us.
Right? And when it's not in that state of bliss, it says, hey, look over here, feel this pain? That's because you're not sitting in alignment. Maybe you should look at how you're sitting, and maybe you should do some opposites. If you always reach this way, maybe start reaching this way with this hand instead. Listen to your body, right? It tells you when your stomach starts feeling sore, it's like you're not eating right. What is it that you're putting in your body that tells you, you should keep eating this? It gives you a sore stomach, or it gives you that gas, or it gives you inflammation. When we start understanding that our body wants to be in bliss all the time and is working constantly behind the scenes, balancing all of our other systems at the same time, then when it speaks to us, when we hear those signals, when we feel them in our body, we should really be listening.
Who are your clientele? What's the demographic of your clientele, and why are they coming to you? Are they already experienced users?
So I've had a combination of both. So I've started with experienced users, and in my close circles, right? My cannabis people online and my soul sisters local. But I've had a few people come to my meditation and experience them, and including in my women's retreats where people have opted not to have cannabis and still get profound experiences. And you can do that through the breath work alone. There's many consciousness breath work meditations like that bring you to a very similar place just in the breath work. So you can definitely get a full experience without cannabis. But cannabis just kind of brings it again to that different level, right? So many things in the body working at the same time, and that expanded awareness that just, and so many people already they have that endocannabinoid deficiency.
Yep.
Right? We're not sleeping right. We have anxiety, we have stress, we have all this stuff, all parts of endocannabinoid deficiencies. And when we supplement with cannabinoids, phytocannabinoids in our body, it helps to replenish those. And so by already bringing us a little more balance and filling those deficiencies in that moment, it's going to heighten your experience.
That hypothesis is from Dr. Bud Russo, Dr. Ethan Russo, neurologist and MD, and he's been leading that charge in that specific idea that because of the prohibition of cannabis for the past 100 years, we all are suffering from some sort of endocannabinoid deficiency, hence more ADD, more Parkinson's, more cancers, more tumors, more everything that's awful. And it's time to start supplementing that master regulatory system that's trying to make us all feel better with what little it's got to use at this point, unless we're giving it, like you said, more phytocannabinoids.
Yeah, honey knows.
Hi, Honey Smith Walls here. I'm host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, weekly for the past 6 years. But today I'm inviting you to a Facebook group called the Holistic Relief Summit, in hopes that you too will come for the peace and stay for the epiphanies. It's a beautiful space for women to find all kinds of relief from all kinds of suffering. Come join us for free.
Well, hello, I'm Dr. Philip Blair, and I want to introduce you to Honey Smith Walls. And she recently had an experience with beta-caryophyllene.
For years, I've been dealing with lots of arthritis pain and pain from neuropathy that has not been resolved through other prescriptive methods. As an advocate educator in the cannabis industry, I learn lots of interesting information about the compounds within the plants, and one of those turned out to be beta-caryophyllene.
What was your first dose like?
I was gobsmacked. Absolutely gobsmacked. it has given me my future back.
I want to get it out to everybody too. I want to get it out to the whole world. As a matter of fact, it has so many mitigating factors for all the stresses of life and pain and diseases. It is unbelievable, the spectrum of care that it can provide.
Yeah, the women I help, though, Michelle, are pretty afraid of THC. You know, the big stigma, bad girl reputation of marijuana,
Sure.
you know, all of that. But
I did a beautiful circle. I did my whole meditation with my mom and her friend. She was in Arizona for the winter, and she's got her tennis team. And so she got her whole tennis team, and they all had their own little reclining chairs and their blankets and their eye masks and all that. And
clutching
they
their
had
pearls.
CBD. And they smoked CBD for that.
Oh.
So they still got to, they smoked. They participated in the smoke ceremony and everything all the way through that. Some of them have never inhaled anything before in their life, but and my mom was teaching them how to use the pipe as they were going. It was so cute, and it was so much fun, and they really enjoyed the experience, even with CBD.
You know, they say CBD is not psychoactive, but I call bullshit on that.
And it is actually psychoactive.
It so calms our anxiety. It so gives us introspection.
That's what the definition of psychoactive is. We try to explain that in the Effective Cannabis newsletter, like really using that term and helping people understand that, because terminology is so important. Maybe it's not psychotropic or intoxicating.
Right.
But it is psychoactive because it changes our mood.
Thank you. You know, the language undulates around cannabis. And because of the different philosophies, I'm, you know, just reminding our audience really, because of the different philosophical ideas going on around cannabis. There's recreational, there's medical, there's industrial, and then there's all the guys that don't want this industry coming in. You know, big alcohol, big cotton, big pharma, big paper, you know, just all of these other industries that would rather see the cannabis industry just quietly, you know, go away with bad news.
Oh, I know. And you see that in all the articles that come out with all the stuff that's all the
negative stuff and the gaslighting, the lies. Were you on Dr. Dustin Sulak's healer meeting last night, his Zoom meeting? He has it monthly, and it is fabulous. And he was talking
to many, but not
about this very thing, that he did a bit of a deep dive into the newspapers, which is not something he usually bothers with because of you know, bad input. And he listed all of these articles that were just out and out lies about cannabis causing heart attacks and big cardiovascular issues, and don't use CBD, and, you know, just scare. So he debunked every single one of them, of course. But it's still out there.
I can't believe all you hear.
Yeah. And
which is why the Effective Cannabis newsletter is a great source, because we vet it all in, and, you know, anything that we bring in there, it's not by, you know, any big pharma companies or anything like that. But we also address the harms that this new era has brought as well, like the super high THC percentages.
Right. That's
not doing anybody any favors.
Not anybody.
There's over 550 components in the little trichome of, you know, of particles in our medicine. And when they're rebreeding for one molecule, THC, we're completely missing the entourage effect of all the other goodness that can be part of that.
It's Frankenweed.
Right? And people in the industry understand this.
Yeah.
And they're heartbroken that the beautiful stuff that, you know, the under 20% or around 20% that they can't sell because our uneducated consumers are driving the market.
Right.
And they think, I want to just get the best bang for my buck. And we're not allowed to educate them in our stores the best bang for my buck, the highest percent THC, super concentrates, and there's a place for those as well in medicine. Like when you're targeting cancer cells and you want those to evaporate in your body,
right,
then using some of those really high THC concentrates have proven like very effective in killing cancer. And I'll say that.
I'll say it. Yeah, I'll say it.
And there's place for that, but daily users should not be smoking just THC at these high percentages, because it is damaging, because we're now going beyond just balance and we're going out of balance in the other direction, right? We're oversaturating our system, and then our receptors are going and hiding. They're like, there's
that's what I was just going to say. They go hide. They disappear when you overdo THC or any of those cannabinoids.
So then you think that you need more and more to get the same effect.
Right.
Whereas if you just took a couple days break,
that's right.
A
little tolerance break.
Reset your system, you won't need as much to get going again. But the other part of that is add some CBD to it, add some CBG to it.
Or beta-caryophyllene, BCP. That's been an amazing find.
Medicine has beta-caryophyllene in it already. Right?
Most of it does. That's right.
Part of it, right? You shouldn't need to add to it. But if you're having, a multi-cannabinoid blend like that, the CBD helps lower those intoxicating effects of the THC, and you're just calming your nervous system and your immune system and your digestive system and all those things at the same time, so that THC can help work better, and the THC can help the CBD work better, and everybody's all happy in there.
Yeah, there are a lot of compounds for the public to find out about, and it's going to take some serious education. How can we find the newspaper that you mentioned just a minute ago?
It's effectivenewsletter.com, and that is the Effective Cannabis newsletter. But the URL is effectivenewsletter.com.
Effectivenewsletter.com.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
To avoid those cannabis shutdowns by having it in our title.
Well, right. I started my business some years ago back in Florida, and of course couldn't have a bank account with cannabis in it. So I went to Latin. Cannabiverum is Cannabis Truth in Latin. And of course, I've had a bank account ever since. But, that private girls' Catholic school sure came in handy, finally.
Wonderful. Another thing that I was going to mention on that same question is that Pam Montgomery has done these exact same kind of similar plant meditations, and she does it with mugwort or something else that has called her to initiate, right? So you can definitely do that same kind of feel through different plants. My last Cannasoul connection, that's what I call my meditations, because it's with cannabis, and of course it connects our soul. And you just start feeling that love in between people as they join. At the last one, I had people that had smoked clove cigarettes before going in. Okay. And so then hearing mine, they're like, oh, I feel like I need to really connect more to a clove. I'm going to go and look up what it looks like. And I thought that was really cool that now you want to explore the plant that you chose to vision with and realize that it's more than just something fun to smoke, right?
Yes.
There's plant spirit in it.
Yes. Yeah, plant spirit. Dr. Sulak was talking about teas last night, and he has said many times that he feels like having Cana tea is probably the best way to ingest it, just to keep your cannabinoids up and stuff. You mentioned that you have teas as well. And so are they particular cannabis strains? How do you manage that? And are they different plant therapies other than cannabis?
Yeah, so my teas I call them Cannabis botanicals, and a lot of it is plants I've harvested in our local area. And I'm just a little over a year into other plant medicine after going on a medicine walk with an elder in our community last year, and just starting to point out all these different things that he knows and recognizes, like wild ginger in our area and sarsaparilla. You chew on the root and you get energy from that. And wike is an adaptogenic and good for your immune system and so many other things. And so just learning all about those things out in my backyard, basically, right? We stopped whippersnipping, and all of a sudden there's some yarrow, goldenrod, and clover all growing, and I harvested that and dehydrated it, and this has started to form my tea collection.
The basis of your collection.
Yes.
Wow.
And then exploring more. Like, I know mullein grows everywhere, and it's such a great plant. Mullein is neutral. Like, so I study the energetics out of it. As per Rosalie de la Forêt, she's a herbalist, and I just love the way she works with it because she works with the energetics of the plant. And so energetics of the plant would be that, it's drying and warming, and it's sweet or pungent or different effects like that. So I've used her little quiz to find yourself. Again, like I use this as my opening on how I talk about the endocannabinoid system, right? So when you learn about your own energetics, so whether you run hot or you run cold, moist or dry, then I make a tea that goes to balance that. So you're opposite. So if you run cool and dry all the time, I'm going to find you warming, moist tea blend to help balance that part of you. And so then I've got all my teas out there, and I've got dandelion root, and I've got marshmallow leaf, and raspberry, and I've even brought in some cool ones like blue lotus, where it's a very spiritual plant, right, and can connect you and is euphoric. So some local ones and some that I brought in, but then mixing that, and I mix people a tea, and they always say, this is the most perfect tea I have ever drank.
Oh my goodness!
And I do that at my women's retreats as well. That's where I really developed it, because they would all make their own, just based on their quiz results themselves, and then looking at all the teas, and they would make their own tea. And it was always the perfect tea, and they just enjoyed it immensely. And I said, because it was perfectly balanced for you. And then I take that and I talk about the endocannabinoid system, and how I use all the multiple cannabinoids and CBDA, CBGA, CBD, CBG, THC, THCA, CBN. These are the ones I usually work with that are available to me, and how they all have different parts in the body that they connect with.
Sorry.
Just checking that you're still there. I didn't completely.
And I'm just getting tickled myself, because now I'm fiddling with all of my everythings and screwing around. I apologize. I just realized I've got a blip going on in my tech over here, but I'll fix it on the tail end. So as you were saying, apologies, honey. I'm sorry.
So then I just bring those same teachings of the teas into the endocannabinoid system, and then how I make my tea blends, or my oil blends. I make medicine for my clients myself, because I know I just can't get that stuff in the dispensaries. And it's always a multi-cannabinoid blend in MCT oil. That's how I deliver mostly. And some people have cookies, like my 93-year-old mother-in-law. She has her THC, CBD, CBG cookie, 2 a day, one with breakfast and one with dinner.
How did you find your sweet spot?
Yeah, I think so. Well, did you say how did I find?
Yeah, how did you find your sweet spot?
Well, I had started with just CBD cookies at first.
Yeah,
and doing those for quite a while, and she liked that, and that was good. And then I slowly introduced THC to them, and then I always add CBG with everything because it's my favorite cannabinoid. Got it on my water bottle.
Cannabigerol.
And so, and I just started her with like a milligram, like 1.5 milligrams of THC in there, and that was good for her. And it was funny. I have to share this story because at first, like, she wasn't very mobile when we started looking after her. She was very independent and wouldn't even ask for help until we found her on the floor, right? She hadn't drank enough. She didn't eat enough. She was too weak. And that's when we started coming in every single day. Right. And I get her up in the morning and get her moving and get her dressed and get her breakfast. And then she's usually okay for the day and putters around. And lately she sleeps more. And then Andy would come in the afternoon and get her up for dinner and stuff like that, right? So then she wasn't very mobile. We'd put her back in her chair and stuff. And then she started going all over the place and getting into things. And so now I had these cookies that are now had THC in them. So they probably have about 2 or 3 milligrams of THC in them. And so she sees them and she just likes the cookies. And she ended up eating 17 of them. Woohoo! In one night. And I have to say that was like one of my funnest times with her.
That's incredible.
Oh my goodness. Like, she was sitting in her chair, pleased as punch. And she just had so much fun. We laughed and we laughed and we laughed.
Oh,
and
that's precious.
We danced a little bit and we just,
oh.
and it was such an incredible time. But from there, we're like, okay, we have to put these in, a little higher up and out of arm's reach.
Yeah, right.
Now she's so mobile and getting around. And she's been mobile like that ever since having cannabis every day.
That is wonderful.
She's, 93 and so forgetful and probably has some dementia, but absolutely grateful for everything that we do and happy to be where she is because she's still in her home, enjoys her view. And, it's where we've connected. Since I had to go and feed her every morning, she's been my sounding board through all of my stuff. Like I spoke everything to her before I spoke anything to anyone else. Oh. So I've really enjoyed that. I'm
sure it's heartwarming as well to know that she's happy in her elder years and the joy she senses. Well, we know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And that's so precious and so individual to all of us. So, it's really her. That joy is already within her. It's just that without the pain, without the lack of sleep, without the agitation from the whatever is going on in elders, without all of that, then we do have peace and joy. And it's so nice to be able to hear this story about a 94-year-old, did you say?
93, yeah.
Oh,
93.
my goodness. And so I hope everybody in your neighborhood knows she's on cannabis and is watching.
Yeah.
So when did you first call yourself a shaman?
Honestly, like to really connect with that word shaman, only over a month ago.
Okay, me too. Ditto.
even though I was delivering cannabis meditation, so I was journeying people and myself, I'm making plant medicine out of my teas and cannabis, and of course it fit, but I never really truly connected with that word until after I went to a sweat lodge ceremony with elders. I was invited by a coworker who it's her partner and his drumming circle that do these sweat lodges. So it was really nice to go with people I know, and for my first experience. And within this sweat lodge ceremony, after we called in all the spirits and we brought in the grandmother rocks and the grandfather rocks, and we blessed those with the 4 sacred medicines, and we're completely in the dark in the sweat lodge, right? And then when it was my turn to speak, I just wanted to share that I've been called to speak on behalf of the spirit of cannabis, and I just want to do this in a beauty way so that people can find healing. And I shared some other parts of me that are meant for there, but after that I was given my spirit name, and the name I was given was Mishkigo Ikwe, which means Labrador woman.
Mishkigo Ikwe.
Yeah, Mishkigo Ikwe.
Mishkigo.
And it was given to me. It means Labrador woman, named after the Labrador tea, because Labrador tea, like, you can pick it around here, it grows everywhere, and you can pick it all year round. It's evergreen, and my color is green, and my clan is frog, and that's healers. And so to hear that, and just to confirm that's, without them knowing anything else about me, but to bring that to me, yes, there, I'm like, I take that, I accept
yes.
it. And I know my next plant initiation is fully going to be with Labrador tea.
I'm so tickled for you. I just had to own the title myself recently, and I did. It wasn't quite as dramatic as you, but I was made to know that it's okay for me to use that title.
Yeah.
And after all of these years, of working in this industry in the way that I have and continue to do so, it's changing a bit now. Like I said, I'm working with women like you are, and I've started this Holistic Relief Summit, which is free to the audience, and then speakers come in and give, womanly 101 advice to the audience members. And then if audience want to go in and spend more time with any of the speakers, there's an invitation later in the presentation for them to do that. I'd like for you to see this model too, and take a peek and see if this might not interest you in bringing more audience to your work. And
yeah.
I just love what we're doing, honey. I'm so tickled to have a sister in this this way.
Yeah. And I find that when you have other women that that feel that strongly, and I have to say, like, my soul sister group, half of them are really into cannabis and the others just dabble. But our core group, us 4 of us, have found that we can change our mindset.
Yes.
We can just use, you come home and you're stressed out and the day gets to you, and then you just you have that puff and you're like, love is here. I just replaced all that stress and whatever, and I just turned put my love filter on, and everything changes, right? And I see that rippling out from us into our families. I see how my husband has finally come to realize I can just create my own happiness. I don't have to wait for this and this and this. And for him to come to it after, like the things that I've realized myself, and the things that I would talk to with my sister and my mom and those things. And, he wasn't that interested in everything, or maybe I over talked and he was just like, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But,
I don't know.
It takes time, right? Like, you got to plant those seeds, and they have to find it for themselves. You can't jam anything down anyone's throat. They have to come to it in their own time, right?
I never convinced my spouse. He died at 90 a couple of years ago, and none of the work I did with any of the medical specialists, none of that mattered to him. He was like, don't bother me with the truth. I already know what I believe. And so
right?
You can lead a horse to water, but he was right there watching me over my shoulder for that decade of understanding and learning about
Right.
cannabis science, and he still wouldn't, because he was a black man and he was a chief at NSA, our national security agency, and he had been conditioned to believe that the gaslighting about the product.
Yeah.
And
Right.
he just couldn't get past it. Too many black guys were incarcerated for it.
Right? Yeah.
So
Totally different scenario than what I see a lot of here is, and my husband's older than I am too, and like next generation, and seeing so much of the patriarch, the masculine, right? That order, that structure, that obey, that conform, right? And everything, you don't press the rules, you follow the rules, right? And then coming into this new era of all this feminine energy, and you see in them, their skin's crawling, right? and we're finding this magic because we know that we can create. And they're like, I'm not playing games.
And collaborate. Right. They don't want to collaborate.
Yeah.
They want to compete.
How do I get ahead? How do I step on this guy to get ahead over here? Right? You see that. And so that's a big part of what I'm doing is first helping the women to start to feel, and then helping their men understand there's more emotions than just anger.
Oh, mama, ain't that the truth? Woo. Powerful word.
And I've seen that in him. Again, I've seen those changes where at first it was just every little thing, like, oh, I'm angry about this, I'm pissed off about that, or stressed about this, and everything comes out in anger. And no wonder I was feeling always like I'm not doing anything right. I can't, anything I do, it's just making him angry. And then realizing that that's the only emotion he knows.
And it was also his, not yours.
Yeah, that was his, not mine. Exactly.
Yeah.
And once I learned that one, I could observe. I could watch as an observer and see that, I was having a great day, beautiful day. Got my music on, had a little hoot, and I'm making dinner.
Yeah.
Like, good. And then all of a sudden, this storm cloud comes
Yes.
in. What's this here? And why isn't that done? And,
Right.
And what are they doing? And how come dinner isn't quite ready yet? Where have you been? And it's like, you start pulling it down and you're going like, oh, did I do this wrong? And all this stuff. And you're like, whoa, wait, time out. I'm like, I was in a really good mood. This is not my energy. And I was just like, here you go, have that back. And I put my music back on. I got back into my happy space. And then he got to just go and, I ignored him until he cooled off. And then he comes back and going, everything's okay. I'm sorry about that. I'm just kind of tired. I've had a long day. And it's like, that's allowed. That's okay. But you don't need to take down my energy with you.
Right. Women have never been told the true power in their minds, and nor have they been told anything about autonomy. We're conditioned to go have a partner, to go get married, to go let him boss us around.
Yeah.
We're conditioned for that. So when we start talking about the freedom of autonomy in a relationship, And that means respect and boundaries and all that stuff.
Boundaries.
You know, it's tough. It's tough for
that
women
was huge for me.
Yeah. That's a tough too.
And I'm still working on those boundaries as I'm, you know, still working full time and developing my business and doing women's retreats and doing online meditations and all of this stuff, to still say like, yes, I love you, and yes, I'll be there for dinner every day, but I can't do everything. I can't be there for all the things that you want to be at. This is a busy time for me, and I'm going to just, you know, put my head in and get those things done, including the balance that I need, like spending time with my soul sisters,
right?
Doing my meditations and my morning routine of, you know, a little vape and yoga. Oh, it's the best way to start your day.
It is.
Just and then my soul sisters and we all join online. We use the Global Coherence app through Heart Brain Coherence.
Oh,
it's just a little app on your phone, and you use the camera as a sensor, and it measures your heart rate variance. And so we go on that, and we use that sensor to help us see when we're in the field, right? Like it helps. Right, if we have low numbers and you're too aware, right? You have to get into so much. You have to be so silent and so still and still present, and then your numbers get higher and higher and higher. So it's a training tool. To help you when you start feeling that, right? When you start getting to 5 and 6 for your numbers, you can start feeling that coherence. You can start feeling your body just going, I feel those tingles coming through me. I feel that warmth and the love coming up through me, right? Around 5 or 6. When you can get into like 8, 9, and 10, you are like completely in bliss, and you get in there, and then all of a sudden you're like, I feel so blessed. I wonder what my numbers are. And then immediately you're like,
what's the name of this app, and does it cost?
It's called the Global Coherence app.
Uh-huh.
And on the app, there's the global group. So there's a map. You can kind of see all the different people that are on at different times. Every Wednesday, they do a care focus that send love to the entire world. How many people get in on the global app. And then you can also create little subgroups in there. And so we have one for our soul sisters. So we get in there all the time, and so we'll see how many people are there. And when we get into our meditation, just 10 minutes, we'll all listen to the same YouTube song, meditation song, and just kind of connect in there. And then when you start thinking about each person in your circle, and you envision us just connecting that gold thread from heart to heart to heart, picturing ourselves holding hands together, and then like a Care Bear stare, where we've all got this love beam connecting.
Wow.
And one of my
feels
friends
very Avatar to me.
You know what? It is an incredible feeling. And to know that we are doing this every day. And you know, like not every day I feel that full Care Bear stare beam, you know, because, you know, there's life still happening, and you got the energies are up and down, but practicing it every day and knowing, okay, I see how I'm feeling like this, and my numbers are low, and that makes total sense. How am I going to get back into coherence? Right? What do I have to let go of? What do I have to relax into? What is my environment telling me right now that's not allowing me to connect my heart and brain in coherence? Right? Another measuring tool to know ourselves.
I feel like I'm in the flow when I am in real gratitude. Mm-hmm. You know, not I should be grateful for this. No, it's, oh my glory, this is so incredible. I am so thrilled to be in this moment. That kind of gratitude. Like I got a dog and a cat over there that are being nice to each other, and they're both loving on me at the same time. And that was like an amazing moment when they're just, you know, being nice and sweet, and it's such a glorious,
those precious moments that you can just sink into the gratitude of it. Right? It doesn't have to be, a new house and a trip. It's the precious moments right in front of us.
It is
that can light you up so much.
Yeah. Tell us how.
The thought of my friends, right? Yeah. Just knowing how much we love each other.
Yes.
And knowing that connection between us, that's what, lights me up at first. And then we have enough of that love. Like when you fill yourself up, you can flow it out to so many people and it just fills you up with more. You never run out of love to send out. And so it's an incredible way to start the day.
I can really relate to what you're saying. Yeah.
What's that?
I can really relate to what you're saying. I've got a network of business sisters that I met online, but I am so close with these women. We've been working together every day on Zoom and, on Facebook and on different forums and stuff for a year. And I am so close to these women, and they are so loving and giving and collaborating and stuff like that. And it has made a huge difference, not just to my business, but to this old bag of bones.
Right.
I don't have the stinking thinking, the shitty committee, as one of my friends say. Don't have that going on up here anymore. I've got tons of really positive stuff to think about, ideas and focus and that sort of thing. Tell us, how can we get into your retreat? Because I'm real curious to find out how you lead and, what your containers are like. I bet they're just wonderful.
Yeah. So Canna Soul Connection, you can go on my webpage, cannawellwithmichelle.com. And
let's say that again.
Canna Well with Michelle. It's all together, .com.
That's wonderful. It's a wonderful site, wonderful URL. Cannawell with Michelle. It's great little jingle. Ooh, yeah. You could get AI to create a little jingle for you for that.
I love AI. It's just, yeah. That's
I do too. I call mine Chuckles and he calls me Sparkle Brows. So, cannawellwithmichelle.com will get us to your site to find out more about your retreats and all that you're doing.
And you can go to events, and my events are Canna Soul Connection. That's my online cannabis meditations. I'll be at Cannabis Public School on this Sunday.
I'll be there watching you too and backing you up. I'm so delighted. That's a wonderful space.
I'll be doing my Spirit of Cannabis meditation there, and I'll do the full container. I do my smoke ceremony with the 7 grandfather teachings.
The 7 grandfather teachings. I am completely oblivious of that.
Okay, that's it's First Nations. I know it's in multiple First Nations, and sometimes they use different animal representatives for the different grandfathers, but it's always like wisdom, courage, truth, love, humility, respect, and courage. Those are the 7 grandfathers.
Oh, wow.
And so they're represented by different animals. And so in our area, right, we've got the bear is courage, and the wolf is humility, and Sabe or Bigfoot is truth. And so I go through the 7 grandfathers to bring that beauty way into us, because you can't use one without the other. They all have to be used together, right? Because if you I don't know, if you were wise, but without love, right? You're
right. No compassion.
Compassion,
right?
If you were you were brave, but you didn't have the truth, you might be getting yourself into a bad situation, right? So using all 7 of those teachings together is putting you on a good way. So I like to bring that that feeling before we even get into the breath work, so that we already start feeling connected to everything, and then connected to our medicine. And
Do I need to bring medicine on Sunday?
Yes.
I will. Good. I can't wait. I love that space. Maureen Smith is our fearless leader, and she's just precious. And she's been working hard on bringing this together. And so I just love that she's getting all of you incredibly wonderful speakers in the cannabis industry to come together in this really safe space to discuss it.
Yeah,
it's good.
Well, I'm honored to come and share, because I do love that, and I think anybody that's working with cannabis should understand the spirit of it too, because it's way different working with plant medicine, because it has spirit, versus pharmaceuticals that are made that, they're kind of stripped of that.
Yeah, boy, are they ever. Yeah, I not looked at it like that, but truth be told, the plant is live. It has spirit. The pharmaceutical is not. It's totally created, fabricated plastic.
When I'm at the markets with them, like pharmaceuticals, it's, the synthetic one molecule medicine, right? That's going to target one molecule in your body. But what happens is it saturates your system, and it does the work for you, so that you don't have to. And then when you take away the pill, it's really hard for your body to redo those things. It kind of forgot how to do it because this pill was doing it for you, right? And so that's why it's hard to get off those antidepressants, and it takes time, like over and over and over and over again,
right,
of trying and not feeling defeated because my body wasn't used to making those molecules anymore, those chemicals in my body. But with cannabis, because it is so broad spectrum and full spectrum medicine, it's targeting over 68 points in our body at the same time, right? And it's actually making our bodies work better. It's making our bodies do what it's supposed to do better. And it's not doing it for us, right? Like, it's not supplementing our system like medications. It's making our body work better for us.
Well, I can tell you that I have loved hanging out with the cannabis scientists and doctors and medical pros, around the globe, who have sort of come together in LinkedIn and maybe a couple of other places. But it's been a fascinating journey.
Oh, so fascinating.
Yeah.
Working with the newsletter has been so incredibly important to everything I've learned through there, with all and not only did I get to write and study, find my own studies to research and work on, but all of the other content that we've got in there from cannabis scientists and pharmacists and cannabis nurses and cannabis doctors and other professionals in the field, it's really expanded my knowledge of things. And to see that love of it in so many places, especially being a cannabis health coach, after being numb for 20 years, and I was administrative assistant and a piano teacher, coming into selling or, coaching and consulting and making my cannabis products, but educating people about cannabis when people are so stigmatized and fear, all of that in there, to try and come into that industry with my own clarity and being able to stand up and use the courage to get through those hard moments.
That's it.
And coming back to the science and seeing that love of the plant again and again, I'm like, I know I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm doing the right thing.
Here's what tickles me the most about the plant and science is that every single one of those scientists that we know in this industry, they all truly believe the spirit of cannabis.
Yeah.
The spirit of cannabis, and that it really is alive, and it really does have this amazing, property about it that can change us for the better.
I think that the change in science alone, in everywhere, when they started studying the wave and not just the particle, right? They're realizing that we're more than just the protein, that energy of us, like as soon as they started bringing the quantum field into science, you can start feeling those different things. You can connect to spirit because they've proven it in science that it's there, right? It's tangible now, right? And it's completely changed the science community.
I think so too. I love our science community. I think they're genteel, wonderful people who want to change the world for the better and help people get past the aggression and anger that they feel so desperately from
the
competition.
Chaos of the world.
Competition. So,
and my family and friends keep asking me, like, how come you don't watch the news or you're not paying attention to anything? And it's like, I know that we need to have this chaos right now while we're deconstructing systems that are old, that are outdated. And I know that there's people that are suffering from this, and I do feel for them. But I can stand back and say, this is supposed to happen. And I'm so happy to see these structures falling while we're still bringing in the love, bringing in that coherence and consciousness, that underground wave, the murmur that's coming up. And that's what's going to replace this, right? And I deeply feel that the indigenous teachings paired with all the nervous system resetting that everybody, all coaches are really bringing out to everybody, right, in their different ways, is going to save us.
I think you're really right, and I am real glad to hear you say that. It's not just that we're getting rid of old systems. We've got something coming in right behind it. Right behind it.
That's right. So, it's not like something's going to replace it like in a day. It's been building the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I love this vision, and I really love what both you and I are doing, and I'm so glad to meet you and be in the same circle with you, the circle of love and introspection and, good medicine juju. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell our audience? Do you have anything coming up that you'd like for us to sign up for, or how can we get in touch with you if you'd like for us to contact you?
So I can be reached through my website for sure, cannawellwithmichelle.com.
Cannawellwithmichelle.com. And Cannasol as well. Cannasol Connections?
The Cannasol Connection, yeah.
Is that cannassolconnections.com?
It's in my webpage.
It's in your webpage. Okay, through Cannasol Connections.
You'll find it in there. So the different things I have. 2027, I'm planning on like a bigger retreat where I'll be calling people to travel to. I'm hoping to use my parents' fishing lodge for that.
Ooh.
Yeah. And up here in Northwest Ontario, beautiful, all on the lakes. It's going to be a fantastic retreat. We're going to have cannabis medicine in there, a lot of nature. There's so many beautiful facilitators of doing magical things in our little town. I love connecting women and their gifts and, sharing everybody's gifts together. So I'll probably have a lot of different facilitators. So I'm planning that for September 2027. So you can watch for that.
I want to come to it. It sounds wonderful. And aren't you all getting ready to start doing consumption lounges soon? Didn't that just pass up there in Canada?
I am hoping so. Like I said, I don't watch the news.
That would be a lot easier for you and your stuff going on. If that's true, I think it is, and I think they're getting ready to do the first consumption lounge like in a month or two down. I'm sorry, I don't know the town that's just on the other side of Detroit in Canada, wherever that is.
Windsor? I know I'm like way up in the boonies on the other side of the province. Like we're close to Manitoba. I really don't know a lot about the Toronto area.
And I'm still claiming to be a newbie up here. I don't know for nothing yet about where anything is, but I'll figure it out. I love being up here in Michigan, and I think Canada is just gorgeous too. I'm so glad we're neighbors.
Yeah.
All right, honey. Well, I guess I'm just thrilled to know you're going to be on Cannabis Public School on Sunday. And so we'll make sure to get that available as well in a link or something for the show. This episode will probably air a couple of weeks from now, but I'm just thrilled that I'm going to get to see you at Cannabis Public School and do a little mini retreat with you there too. I'll bring my good stuff.
All right.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming, Michelle. It's been wonderful to have you.
It's been so great to get on your show with you. I've been following you for a long time.
Thank you for saying that. Well, I really want to follow up with you and introduce you to some of my friends who are making some rounds and getting their businesses heard. It's kind of a new feminine way of doing it, and I'll tell you all about that on the other side of the show. But thank you again, and love to you, and we'll see you again real soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to another Cannabis Truth Podcast with 21st century cannabis shaman Honey Smith Walls. Using cannabis mindfully as medication is a different concept in Western healthcare philosophy, specifically over the past century. There's a lot to learn and reconsider. The scientific truth of cannabis is finally getting out and is wide open for all to see at respected medical sites like the National Library of Medicine at pubmed.gov and the Journal of American Medical Association at JAMAnetwork.com. We here at the Cannabis Truth Podcast are right there in the thick of it, alongside the titans of medicine, as a fly on the wall. We are not doctors, nor did we go to medical school, but we have taken dozens of private cannabis courses and still engage in continuing education offered by expert cannabis scientists. Over the past few years, we slowly began to see and understand the bigger picture. Now we hear from people all day long about cannabis. It is so important to use verifiably safe products. The process of getting a diagnosis from your family doctor and taking your records to a cannabis specialist can lead you to the correct cannabinoid therapy for your specific issues. Otherwise, you're simply your own guinea pig looking for answers without the foundational knowledge or ability to determine your best strategy. To find a qualified cannabis expert in your area, visit cannabisclinicians.org. This is a national society of cannabis experts. Look for the link in the show notes. Unless otherwise proven by a reputable third-party lab test, please regard all street weed as contaminated. It may do grave harm to a patient with a delicate immune system who already has inflammatory issues like arthritis, IBS, fibromyalgia, or worse. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you find value and understanding through the conversations you've heard on this podcast.
A quick shout out to Nathan Pierce and Daniel Rome of the 406 Budcast and their brilliant tech goddesses who created what you're about to hear next.
She walked in with wisdom and a fire in her eyes, talking plant truth where the silence lies. From the roots to the bloom, she saw the light. Now she's teaching folks how to heal it right. Not afraid to challenge the tale of lazy myths and a system that failed. She's got science in one hand, stories in the other. Lifts up the voices they tried to smother. Honey knows, honey grows. Truth in the soil and love in the smoke. Speaking for the elders and the ones left behind. She's the shaman of the leaf with a warrior's mind. Yeah, honey knows how the healing flows. From Florida sun to every word she says. Cannabis truth, that's her battle cry. For the mamas and papas still scared to try. She ain't selling hype, she's serving facts. Taking big pharma to school with class. With a mic and a mission, she lights the way for the lost and the curious every day. Honey knows, honey grows, truth in the bud and peace in the dose. Teaching the plant like a sacred art, from the ECS to the beating heart. Yeah, honey knows. Honey healing flows. She's been burned by the system, lifted by the plant, giving voice to the ones who thought they can. A sister, a sage in a world full of smoke.